Welcome back, everyone, to our channel. I'm Nikki,
I'm John.
and this is Nikki and John's podcast. Today, we are not going to talk about The Vanishing.
Being in Canada, it was unavailable on any of the streaming platforms that we use to watch our movies. So we moved on to another movie this week. So it's kind of a surprise movie. Hello, Goodfellas.
I just really like this movie, and I think a lot of people would agree that it's legendary. It's definitely up there because of the cast just alone.
I'll name a few. Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci. Do we need to say any more? I don't think so.
Excuse me. Lorraine Bracco. She kicks ass in this movie.
Yeah.
She is the powerhouse.
No, you're right. She is great.
This has a lot of things that are put into it, a lot of fun facts, a lot of stories. I personally love Martin Scorsese films, so this is a no-brainer for me. There was a lot of interviews that I had watched with him. Everything about this film, there's a lot that goes in it. You can go on and on and on. I don't want to make this video too long, but I'm going to try to get all the information in there, but move it along.
Check out those interviews, because I'm sure they're fun to watch and to hear what they have to say now about what they did then,
Yeah. This is based on a book called Wise Guy, written by Nicholas Pileggi. This has some truth to it, I'm sure, and a lot of it has to do with how Martin Scorsese grew up and how he saw mobsters do things and their lifestyle, because that was around the time period where he would see things like that. Very believable, because he puts that feel into it. And not only does he captures the moment, but he gets the songs right. I swear, like, he gets like that one part of a song and it's
it just hits you. He knows how to work it, and I just
work it.
It really works well. The clothing, like the stylist that worked on it, did a really good job. And when they're getting it, he's bought this new house, and they're walking through the house and showing off all this new cool stuff. Just so old school to us now, but like so new to them. It's so fresh looking. Like, I think they did a really good job with the scenery and the clothing and the aspects of that visually for this movie. They kind of went above and beyond, I feel like.
I think they did amazing. And I personally feel like everything that I have seen by Martin Scorsese, he's so good at everything he does. There's like, I may not like one or two of his movies. Okay, whatever. Maybe it's not the story, but he gets it. He knows how to get that emotional, and I freaking love that. I freaking love that.
Oh, he packs a punch, that's for sure. You have to think, okay, well, these things kind of did happen. Oh my goodness, like, wow, but we're seeing it on screen for the first time, and we're like, oh my goodness, all right, I'm not mistaken.
Well, when it first came out, it wasn't well liked. People kind of snub their nose at it and go, that's, it was because of its graphic nature, situations of everything, but that's people's lives. It can be graphic. Life isn't, through rose-colored lenses and, everything's lollipops and roses and things. And then as it progressed, it became more of a legendary film and more accurate, and, because it's based on real life.
Yeah.
And we were just talking the other day about when we did Basketball Diaries and how they cut things down, and same thing with the company that wanted to produce this. They were like, no, you have to cut this down for our life.
Too violent. Oh my God. It's like, well, do you want me to tell the story or not? This is the story. So get over it.
I think a lot of people that come out like that are so brave, because it's like, man, you're putting everything on the line. And you're ultimately betraying everybody you've ever known. It's so backstabbing and brave and cowardly, and it's all rolled into one, because that lifestyle, it's all over the place. There is never a happy medium.
It's not a happy day every day. They're trying to show you that. I think they did a fantastic job of doing it. Show you what it could be like to be in the mob.
What mob?
I think the movie is fucking great. The length of the movie is a little long, but it needs to be, because it's telling it needs to be to tell that story properly.
Right. And I like detail. I'm not, not afraid of it. As long as it's interesting detail and it's not something that's just fluff. There's detail and there's fluff. And then when there's fluff, that means the movie is terrible. There's so many things you could cut out and then you just don't because you feel like it has to be in there. Somebody pays you, whatever friggin' production company pays you or whatever. But
a fun fact for you.
This whole thing is funny because this movie is based off of a book. And when Scorsese had contacted Nicholas Pileggi about doing the film,
right?
He over the phone call, he told him, "I've been waiting for this book my entire life." And then Pileggi replied, "I've been waiting for this phone call my entire life." Because, Scorsese, like I said, he has it. He is wanted.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously at that point he had established himself to tell stories like this. Him obviously knowing that his story was worthy of something like this, that's really cool to know that I've been waiting for this and I've been waiting to do this, like together. That's, it's like
made in heaven.
Jinx, buy me a beer.
Ray Liotta's mother had died of cancer during filming, and he was saying that, when he was really upset, he would use his rage on set, get out his frustrations of losing his mother. One of the scenes that I personally thought was, it was kind of like heart-wrenching because of what he says.
I swear my fucking mother, if you touch her again, you're dead! Oh.
And he uses all that rage, and it was like, wow, that was a branch from his mourning right there. Or at least that's how I took it.
Well, I mean, you could see a lot of emotion in that scene. The way he's slugging on him, pistol whipping him, and I'm like, wow, that's brutal. Like, he probably would have broke his face. And then the way he just kind of has his arms the way he is, and he storms off in that suit, and the way he just kind of, like, the look on his face, like, you can feel the anger through his bones at that moment. And to know that he's using real life anger behind that's not portraying. He's not acting, I don't think. He's literally pissed off at that moment. And he's using his real life experiences to present that. That's crazy.
What you gotta do. It has to be believable.
That's really good method acting,
Yeah, right.
At its strongest point.
Al Pacino was offered the role of Jimmy Conway. He turned it down because he felt like he was being typecasted and he didn't want to keep continuing the same thing over and over, which I get.
He was like, you know what? I just did this and I just did this. I don't want to do that again. I want something else in between. Like,
well, yeah, you're an actor. You want to.
He wants to broaden his horizons a little bit, maybe. So.
Yeah.
And I think he would have made a great Jimmy. I think Robert De Niro did a great job too. So honestly, I don't think it would have mattered.
Pacino, De Niro all the way. De Niro.
You might know who we are. We know who you are. Understand?
Yes, De Niro. The dinner scene where it's Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Ray Liotta are all sitting at the table with Joe Pesci's mom, and they're going over and like just everyday life stuff. She has no idea, what they've been up to. And it's funny because the lady that plays Pesci's mom is actually Martin Scorsese's mom, Catherine Scorsese. So when he went to go direct her, your son's friends are coming home for dinner. That's it. They just want to talk. And she had no idea about, the body, the scene, nothing. And it's good because that scene is very, it's remembered really well because there's so many key points in that film where the picture that she holds up, the painting, that painting was made and painted by Nicholas Pileggi. He painted that picture.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite interesting.
Lots of authentic things happening in that scene.
Yeah.
From her reaction and her demeanor to the painting that she's holding.
Right.
That's really interesting.
I thought that was really, really cool. Where De Niro does like the twist with the ketchup bottle instead of like, the pour shake or whatever.
That is, you normally would, yeah.
Authentic Jimmy move right there, according to all the research that I found. And I thought that was so cool how it was just like, I love that because it's so fucking natural, but it's different because, people are always different. They have the little quirks, and I just love that little point out there. Most of the movie I've heard was improvised, not improvised, but a lot of it did make it into the cut because
quite
it's just
improvisation in it, but a lot of it also being told by some of the real, characters that were still alive at the time, telling their side of it and how they would do things. I think that was incorporated quite a bit in this movie, which gives it that more authentic feel to it.
And there was this man, he would never talk. He would just sit there all night and not say a word. So they said to him, "What's the matter, compadre? Don't you talk? Don't you say anything?" He says, "What am I going to say? That my wife 2 times me?" So she says to him, "Shut up, you're always talking."
Well, I love it because, it's that cute little mom. It's like, "Yeah, hungry? Let me feed you. Come on. And, you could feel it throughout, like, The Goodest Heart. Martin Scorsese's dad is also in the film. But that one scene where Joe Pesci is explaining that, hey, we had to cut him off. It's a sin. And then he's like taking the big knife and he's like, "What'd you call that thing?" And that's real. Joe Pesci couldn't say the word.
Big hoof. The hoof.
So Deniro jumps in and goes, "It's the hoof." That's improv scene right there. And I love that.
So well. The real Tommy, he was actually like a really built guy, quite tall and built, but Joe Pesci played his demeanor and the way he spoke and everything basically about, they say, 90 to 90% accurate. So the only thing Joe Pesci's missing is the height and the weight. Other than that, he was Tommy. And anyone who knew Tommy says that Joe Pesci played him perfectly. Joe Pesci is a little intimidating, even as a little guy in that movie. Imagine him being a big guy. Yeah, you'd probably be the type of guy you see walking down the street and you turn around and you walk away.
Right. Yeah. Like, no, thank you.
You're clear out of here. When I think it's Jimmy who's handing out money to everybody, Robert De Niro didn't like the fact that they're using fake money. It felt too weird in his hands, so he wanted real money. Well, they didn't have real money on set, so the prop guy went and took $5,000 out of his own account and gave it to them to use on set. But every night before anyone left the set, it had to be counted and put back into like a vault so that he didn't lose any of his own money.
The Copacabana, which is the nightclub that is seen very many times in this film, that was a favorite spot of Martin Scorsese's. He actually went to prom there.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's something else. I thought it was really cool how they let him shoot in there, and there's a scene where Karen and Henry go on their first date, well, their official like nice date, and he takes her to the restaurant. He takes her to the Copacabana, and then they go in through the restaurant, and that whole shot is one shot. And I think there's maybe one cut, I think I heard somebody say towards the end, but
right,
that took 7 or 8 times to shoot completely, and they weren't allowed to go in the short way, so that's why they had to go in that way. But Scorsese liked it that way because he had thought that this is Henry's life. This is him.
Yeah, amped up Henry's character as being an important guy going through the back door.
Well, it was everything it was the life that he was stepping into. We were just following it, and we were seeing everything that was to come.
That cook on the shoulder, he says something to him, and he's saying something to this. He's saying that he's talking the whole way through. And what a great shot, though. Like, it is really one of the best long take shots I think I've ever seen in a film. I remember like Halloween did it, but it was much shorter than this. And they're not easy to do. So, I mean, hats off to the production team to pull that off, even in 7 takes.
Right.
Right.
Great. Yeah. That's pretty damn good.
That's fantastic because it was a long shot. So
every one of Robert De Niro's outfits had a watch and a pinky ring to go with it. Snazzy.
Come on. That's attention to detail big time.
Ray Liotta had once said that Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci were the glitter and I was the glue. I find that to be a perfect, just, you want to know about this movie? Boom. There you go. That's all I'm going to tell you. Take it from there. Lorraine Bracco's daughters appear in the movie as her children in the film. It's her and Harvey Keitel's kids. A little fun fact for you. During one take of filming the scene where Karen is on top of Henry and she's pointing the gun in his face, Ray Liotta had thrown Lorraine Bracco off the bed, and the gun flew out of Bracco's hand and hit the director of the photography in the head.
No, that is quite funny though. Like, get so into the scene that the gun flies that far and it hits a crew member in the head. I mean, it's funny. As long as he wasn't hurt, it's funny.
And there's a scene, there's like a little whoopsie. The scene where De Niro and Lorraine Bracco are out on the street, and Jimmy's going, just keep going. And she feels like she's gonna die, so she keeps walking, and then she's like, oh no, I'm out of here. See you later, Jimmy. She gets in the car, and the car that they used for this scene had like a fake paper license plate. So when she takes off, the paper license plate goes and it falls right off. Val Kilmer was so eager to win the role for Henry Hill that he made an audition tape to convince Martin Scorsese.
I also made a film for Martin Scorsese, where I played Henry Hill around the time of Goodfellas.
The Fed spent so much money to hook me. They had wiretaps, surveillance, helicopters. They had a list a mile long for him. I had a lot of money out on the street to collect, several scores to wrap up. I mean, I was really scrambling the last days there. It was very dangerous.
So, actors that were considered for the role of Henry Hill: Tom Cruise, no. Nicholas Cage, go away right now, please. No. Sean Penn, yes. But I just like Sean Penn. Alec Baldwin, I don't think would be bad, but Alec Baldwin, I don't know. I can't think of him as a bad guy.
Well, wasn't Alec Baldwin in The Departed?
He was, but he was he was that jokey officer. It was like, go get this, go fuck yourself. Like,
yeah. He could have been like a jokey officer, I guess, in this.
He was supposed to be Henry Hill. He was supposed to be the lead.
Oh.
I wouldn't have, And John Travolta, which I could see that a little bit, but I don't know. I think it would be kind of funny if he did it. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, so, I guess it would depend on what he had played in around that time to see what people's focus of that actor would be at that time. Real mobsters were hired to help out with the authenticity of the scenes and stuff. And they actually used fake social security numbers to incur their pay. And no one knows to this day how they got paid. Clearly they did, but I'm assuming they just got paid in cash, but we don't really know. No one's opening their mouth. Probably for good.
Rat, you don't go against the family.
That's right.
What happened is that the story that I heard, at least, and then this was on one of the interviews that I saw, that Pesci was younger, and that was the altercation that he had with one of the wise guys, because he was hanging around them, and then he made the comment like, oh, you're funny, and the guy claps back like, funny how? So that's how I heard it. Like, it was Joe Pesci's experience.
So he was actually talking to a real wise guy.
That's the story that I had heard. They
want to get everyone's authentic reaction in the room. And I think that's the most interesting part about that, is that they didn't tell anyone about it, and they just did it. Joe Pesci's mother liked the movie because he had shown her the movie before it came out. She liked it, but she said to him, do you have to curse so much? Well, Ray Liotta turned down one of my favorite movies, Batman '89. He turned down the role of Harvey Dent. He turned it down for this role, and probably for a good thing, because he turned down, being a side character to being a main character. the narrations that he does in this movie apparently are almost verbatim to the quotes that they asked Henry Hill when he was discussing the story, and they're writing the notes down and taking quotes from him, that he basically narrated exactly verbatim what Ray Liotta says in the movie as he narrates. The F-bomb was dropped a total whopping of 321 times in this film. And the majority of it was all done by Joe Pesci. So, I'm going to rank this movie not quite as high as the last movie, only because of the length. Other than that, I really love this movie, but I'm going to give it a solid 3.9. But I found this one, there were a few moments that were a little slower paced, maybe, and there was a lot of characters and a lot of things going on. So it was, a little slightly more confusing, I guess, but still a great movie, still a great score. There you go.
I think that's good. I mean, I personally, I think I have more of a feeling and more of a connection with certain films. That's why I score a little bit higher, because they mean a little bit more. This one is a little bit long, but we're ladies, we like length. No, just kidding. No, but all kidding aside, no, that doesn't really, I mean, it is something I wouldn't want to sit through every day, but I could put it on if I'm cleaning or cooking or something. And I like all that stuff. I don't know if it's just because we're on the East Coast and it's just like something, but for me, I really loved it. And as far as everything in here, I just love Bobby De Niro to death. And I find that him in this movie, like, just his eyes are so fucking cool. He's like, you can tell he's the coolest guy, to be the maid guy. So I give this a 4.4 just because I can't deny De Niro. So yeah, 4.4, baby.
So a big 4.4 and a 3.9. Those are two big scores. Congratulations to Goodfellas and everyone involved in that. And R.I.P. Ray Liotta. We lost a good one. So next week, guys, we have, I think, one of the best cult classics. You want to give it away, Nikki?
The Lost Boys. And there is no Lost Boys 2. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right? We just forget that there's a sequel. But we're going to talk about the first movie, the first one and only, and the great movie, The Lost Boys. So please come check us out next week to check out The Lost Boys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and please comment and let us know what you think and what movies you think we should be watching. And we'll see you next time. This has been Nikki and John. Bye.